Hello, my name is Chloe Mercado, and today my debate assignment is going to be on the pro-life versus pro-choice debate, and I'm obviously on the pro-choice side. So to introduce both the topics, pro-choice versus pro-life, pro-choice basically means you're there in support of women choosing how they want to handle their pregnancy, their sexual activity, and their sexual lives. So this means being in support of birth control, a woman choosing to opt for adoption, a woman choosing to have an abortion, a woman choosing to keep her baby. You're completely for the idea of the woman choosing how she handles her pregnancy or her abortion. And there's nothing else to that. And then pro-life basically means that you're anti-abortion. So anything to do with abortion, you hate it, you don't think it's right, it should be made illegal. And then it also can sometimes go as far as that birth control is as bad as abortion. I know not everyone is like this, so it really just depends on your perspective on birth control, but I know that a lot of pro-lifers view birth control as bad as an abortion. So one reason, or a few reasons that kind of fall into the same category of why you would need an abortion or birth control is because you're not ready to be a parent. I do have notes down here. So you're not ready to be a parent. So you're in school, you're in a career, you're making career moves, you want to finish living your best life. And then another thing is actually 6 out of 10 women who do get abortions have other children. So it's not their first child, first pregnancy, but they do opt for an abortion because they want to give the children or the child that they already have the best life that they can, and they know that they can't afford another baby. And then the third reason is they just don't want a baby. So these have nothing to do with assaults or medical conditions. They're just your time in life and then whether or not you want to have a baby. So that I'm putting into one category. So a reason that a pro-lifer may try to dismiss these reasons is that they would say that abortion is murder, which science says it's basically a clump of cells, because in California you can have an abortion up to 6 months into your pregnancy, and a fetus is not self-aware. So in my opinion, having an abortion is the same thing as killing a fly. But then a pro-lifer would say, again, abortion is murder. It's a human life. The heart is beating, breathing, whatever it's doing. But it doesn't have feelings, it isn't self-aware, and I believe it should be completely up to the woman. And all of these reasons are completely valid reasons. All the reasons that I'm going to be talking about are completely as valid as the next or the reason before. Because any reason to me that a woman chooses to have an abortion is a completely valid reason. So my next topic was going to be incest. There was an abusive relationship, sexual assaults, or anything of that nature where it would be immoral to carry that baby to full term, or even at all. As soon as you find out you're pregnant, you're just so disgusted that you don't want to be able to carry this baby, and that is completely valid for the woman's mental health. In order to heal from that trauma, maybe they want to cut all edges, and maybe that includes the baby, maybe it doesn't. Adoption is something a pro-lifer would say that they could do, which I believe is immoral for the woman to try to force her to hold an incest baby, especially if it's a young girl who was sexually assaulted. But from a pro-lifer's perspective, they would maybe suggest adoption. But not as many kids that are being put up for adoption are being adopted. So when the child grows older in the system, they're put into group homes, foster care. And what happens when they're not adopted? Because the older they get, the less likely they are to be adopted. So this equals mental health issues for the child or the teenager at this point. Sexual assaults from foster homes or the group homes. They're not really safe. Drug abuse, because they're not loving the life that they're living. They think nobody wants them because they haven't been adopted. That leads to mental issues, which leads to drug abuse, and then prison. It's a slippery slope out of the foster system, especially when they don't have anybody when they turn 18. They're just kicked out to the streets. They have no one to support them. So some people feel that it's better to have an abortion than to give it up for adoption, because you're not sure if they're going to be adopted into a loving family. And even if they are, it could be abusive, mentally abusive, physically abusive, sexually abusive. You're not sure what kind of family that baby is going to lead into. So many women opt for an abortion rather than adoption. The third reason that a woman might want to be on birth control or have an abortion is for health reasons. So a health reason could be the fetus is not going to survive the pregnancy, the mother is not going to survive the pregnancy, or maybe even before there is even a pregnancy, birth control. So this helps with periods, acne, depression, mental health issues. Birth control is used for many things other than just as a contraceptive. So banning birth control would also take away that from women. So it's not just about preventing pregnancy, it also has many other things that it is positively used for. And then pro-lifers would say you don't need abortion or birth control because of abstinence. But in states or counties where abstinence is taught to teenagers, there is more unwanted teen pregnancy. And that is most likely in a state where abortion and Planned Parenthoods are closing. So that leads to more back alley abortions. And this is according to MIT.edu. More back alley abortions, unsafe way on the abstinence and why it is ineffective. This is because I don't know many teenagers that are not sexually active, so it's ineffective. They're not aware of STDs or anything else they would learn in a sexual education class, and there are more unwanted pregnancies, teenage unwanted pregnancies and adult unwanted pregnancies, because they're not aware, and they don't have any access to that type of information that would help them. So it's proven very ineffective, and then it leads to dangerous forms of back alley abortions. They try to make concoctions at home to try to terminate the baby naturally, and that leads to more health issues for the women, or they fail at terminating the baby and it has lifelong defects for the baby when it's actually delivered. So another reason a pro-lifer might try to shame abortion or pro-choice, they might say that pro-choice is pro-abortion, and that's not what it means. It just means that you're giving the choice to the woman. So a lot of pro-lifers like to throw it in your face that you're a baby killer and that it's God's will that you're pregnant. So whether that being you were sexually assaulted by a family member, a stranger, anything, they think that it was God's will that you are pregnant and that you should be able to carry that baby to term and love that baby or send that baby to adoption. Well, we already spoke about the issues with adoption, but let's talk about the God's will. So a reason that this is an invalid reason that pro-lifers try to use is not everyone has the same religion. I might be an atheist. I might not believe in the same God that you believe as the Christian Bible says him to be. So when you say it's God's will, that means nothing to me, and that is a very invalid reason. So somebody using that as a reason to take away a woman's choice to choose what they do with their own bodies is pretty laughable, because religion is not a valid reason that you use in an argument when you want to be taken seriously, and that is not something that the majority of women take seriously. So this was my debate for defending the pro-choice thing, and I hope I did pretty good. I know it's kind of all over the place and I'm sorry for that, but I'm just very passionate, so I just